Welcome back to another episode of Procrastination Garage. My name's Matt. This week we focus on getting ready for our first camping trip of the season. There are trials and tribulations. Hope you guys enjoy the video. Please hit the like button and hope you'll subscribe and tell all your friends. Here we go. It's Tuesday, just afternoon, and in 72 hours I want to be setting up camp up in the mountains. So that's kind of what this week's going to be all about, is making sure we're ready to go. We're going to take the motorhome up with the UTV, and so that'll be our prime focus. For now though, I want to do some reconfiguring. I want to take the white truck out of tow duty as far as working at the rental, and I want to put the green truck in that role. And so that means disconnecting the trailer, getting the white truck out of the way, unloading anything from it that needs to go in the green truck, and then get the green truck ready. Tomorrow I'm going to go mow the rental, so we'll probably end up hooking the trailer up to it. Although, if we have time today, I would like to hook the trailer up to the motorhome and see where we sit with that. But for now, let's go ahead and just move trucks around. You probably noticed I struggled with this lock. The problem with having these locks exposed to all the winter elements, they get grit, sand, salt built up in them, and they quit working. And I try and keep them sprayed with WD-40. And this one wasn't that long ago, it was working towards the end of snowmobile season. So I'm not sure why all of a sudden it froze up. I actually ended up breaking a key off in it, not my main key, but a spare. Now, my stepdad taught me years ago, buy your locks with the same key. So I special order locks, and I've got a bunch of them on hand, so when I have to bust one off like this, it's not a real big deal. I have a spare, other than the fact that every lock is, $3, $4, $5. So there you go, it's off. New one's in place. Those with a keen eye will notice the grass is freshly mowed. In fact, it was mowed yesterday. And I said next time I mow, I was going to use the newly repaired Troy-Bilt. Well, I lied. I had good intentions, but the ATV was blocking it. It was still on the battery charger. The other mower was outside. It just was easier to use it. So I do have the Troy-Bilt all loaded up to go to the rental tomorrow morning, and it fired right up. So no problems there. Check the oil. Oil's good. I do need to add some gas to it and probably need to air up the front tires. but it's ready to go, and I don't think it'll give me any problems tomorrow. Now, after the mow tomorrow, or at least before we use it again, we'll need to check those header bolts, make sure they're tight. I still would like to replace the ones that I found replacements for, and put some with either a Torx or a Allen head. And when I do that, I probably will put some blue Loctite on there. But for now, we're going the way it is. Now that I think about it, I may have gotten a little bit ahead of myself by loading up that Troy-Bilt mower, because that Troy-Bilt's got an electric plug on the back of it and is good for towing my tank sprayer. And that's really what I need to concentrate on next, getting the tank sprayer set up to spray tomorrow morning. I was waiting until my cherry trees were done blooming and the bees were gone before I sprayed again, because I don't want to kill a bunch of bees. So I need to get this filled up. So I guess we'll go ahead and we'll use the yellow ATV. It works just fine to use the yellow ATV, except for the fact that the hitch is so high on the ATV that the pump sprayer, the tank, is at a weird angle, and it means that all the stuff inside the tank is towards the back, and I can't drain out I can't pump out all the stuff in the tank. It's not a big deal because I won't be pumping it all out anyway. But let's go ahead and get it filled up and ready for tomorrow. Hi, little bear. What are you doing? Just coming to give Dad some attention? Yeah. So the sprayer still has 3 or 4 gallons of spray from the last time we sprayed, and it was oil for spraying fruit trees and stuff. And the stuff I'm using now is going to be different. And you shouldn't be mixing chemicals and such, but I'm going to do it anyway. Now the problem is I'm supposed to use 2 fluid ounces of chemical per gallon of water, and I don't know exactly how many gallons of water I'm going to be able to put in here. So I'm actually going to use gallon jugs and fill it up manually, one at a time. It's going to take a while, but that's all right. Were you counting along? 9. The magic number is 9 gallons I added. So we need 2 ounces per gallon, so we need 18 ounces of this stuff. And it has a little measuring cup lid here. We'll see how much that holds. As it turns out, that only holds 3 ounces, where this thing here will hold a total of 8. But if I fill it up to the line that I usually use, it's 6 ounces. So I'll just have to fill it up 3 times. So we'll do that. So the joke's on me. This container only holds 16 ounces. So I'm 2 ounces short. But you know what? It'll be close enough. So I'll go ahead and dump the rest of this in here, and we'll get it all mixed up. There are 3 ways to shake this up. The longest way is to just put the lid back on, get on the ATV, and ride around and just keep going, and especially the bumpier the better. A much faster way is to grab one of the spray arms and just shake it. And then the other way is the thing has a bypass on the pump, and it just circulates the fluid around and around and around. So we're going to do the latter too. I'm going to shake it using the arm here, and then I'm going to circulate it that way. And then tomorrow morning before I spray, I will do both again, and we should get a good enough mix. The first priority is getting the water tank filled up. That means we've got to close the drain valves and put the anode back in the hot water heater, tighten it up, and then fill the tank up. Need to open up the panel for the hot water heater. And then the anode's right there. It may already be tight. I'll check it. It was tight. Sometimes I tighten it when I put it back in after I drain it. So now we need to go inside. I've got two drain valves underneath the oven, a hot and a cold. They're hard to see. If you really want to see them bad enough, they were in a previous video. Anyway, I'm just going to reach in there and close them. And the main drain valve is back here by the water tank, which is under the bed. And it's way down in here. Can you see it? How about now? Can you see it? Yeah, you just kind of got to reach down there and find it. Although I need to let this hose run for a few minutes to make sure there's nothing in it, this water is filtered house water, so it's good to go to fill up the RV. Filling takes a long time, but the process is started, so we'll move on to other things. One thing I might want to do is empty the trash. Looks like our last trip, trash didn't get emptied, and it's kind of all over the floor. I keep it in the shower here, so it can't go too far. There's nothing in there that was rotting or anything, just mainly paper stuff, but let's go ahead and dump it. This motorhome is a little bit disgusting. I mean, I'm pretty much the only one that uses it, sometimes my daughter. So that's the reason it's gotten this bad. So why don't we go ahead and see if we can clean it up a little bit. I'm coming right along on the cleaning. I got the stovetop mostly cleaned. I've got the sinks cleaned. The inside of the oven is actually pretty good. Outside the microwave looks good. I'm going to let the stovetop soak overnight with some Simple Green, and we'll hit it again tomorrow because it's late Tuesday afternoon and time to wrap it up. It's Wednesday morning, just before 7 a.m. Time to spray the cherry trees. It's about 7:30 and the spraying is all done. I did have one mishap. My hose dragged along behind. I caught a root. I pulled this connection apart and a bunch of my spray product pumped out on the ground. I'll probably have a big dead spot out in the grass. Oh well, such is life. Now it's time to clean our pump out. We're going to use soapy water and run it through the pump and through this this hose area and out the sprayer. All right, this project is done. The trees have been sprayed. I use warm soapy water to clean out the pump, to clean out the hose, to clean out the sprayer at the end of the hose, wrap the hose up neatly. I think we're good to go. Now what I need to do is strip off all these nasty clothes, put them in the wash, and take a shower myself, and then we'll get on with the rest of the day. Before we can do any more fun stuff, we need to go mow the rental. So we need to get the motorhome out of the way and head on over. Just arriving at the rental, and we've got our helper. Say hi, Skeeter. All mowed. Now the Troy-Bilt did an okay job. The blades need to be sharpened on it. It wasn't the smoothest cut, but it's not bad. The blades on the Troy-Bilt throw the grass clippings much further than the ones on the Craftsman. The ones on the Craftsman are mulching blades. They're not really that good for that kind of stuff. I didn't have a bungee cord for the flap, and I needed it, but not a big deal. One problem with the Troy-Bilt, sitting all winter outside, the ignition switch must have got some water in it. It doesn't always want to start it, and then the position where you can turn it so the blades will work in reverse, that isn't working. So probably going to have to replace that switch. Oh well. Valley Septic did come out and put the risers and new lids on. I'm happy about that, but I'm a little less impressed with the way they left the job site. Really, there's a whole lot of dirt. I mean, it's grass is what it is, really. They use most of the dirt, but it's the grass. And then the covers, they just left them sitting out like that. You know, you'd think they'd ask me maybe what to do with them or something. It's not the end of the world. I'm a big boy. I'll take care of it. But again, a little disappointed. So that's it. Let's get back to fun stuff. Let's go get ready to go camping this weekend. Even though I don't plan on using the built-in generator on this trip, every spring I like to make sure it works. So let's check it out now. First thing we've got to do is we got to plug the motorhome into itself. Basically this cord here, there's a plug-in that needs to go in. I'll show you. It's pretty low tech, but basically this plug here has to be plugged in. Once it's plugged into itself, for the first run you got to come over here to the generator and do it manually. Well, it runs. So we know it's putting out power because the microwave is flashing. Now we need to make sure the air conditioner works. Again, we're not using it on this trip, but you always got to run it. Move the selector to high cool. And then we just wait a few minutes and see if it's pumping out cold air. And after just a few minutes, I can feel its cold air coming out. That's good. The generator's been running for about 15-20 minutes, so we're going to go ahead and shut it off now. Got all the moisture out of it. Now to shut it off and to start it from this point forward, I can do it from inside the coach. So we'll hit the stop, and she stops. And let's verify it'll start from in here. And she fires right up. Good. All right. Next thing to test is the refrigerator. I went to turn the gas on outside only to find it was already on, which means it's been on since February or March when we last used the motorhome, which is not ideal. The big thing is if there's any leak at that point, we could lose some, but we're sitting at half a tank and that's probably about where it should have been. Anyway, turn this on. It says auto, and it should flick to gas because I don't have any electricity hooked up right now. And there it is. So now we'll watch it and see if it fires off. It doesn't always the first try. Sometimes it takes 2 tries. That's normal, not a big deal. Let's toss in a few things we're going to need. Let's see now. Is that everything I need? Well, mostly. So we've got the little Honda 1000 portable generator. I'm bringing it because it's quiet. And then I'm bringing some gas along to fill the generator up and to fill up the UTV. Now my friend is going to have his motorhome, and he's also got a 3500 watt Predator, which is quiet like this little Honda. So he may very well be running it, and if so, I'll probably just plug into it. My generator is just so loud, I hate to run it if I don't have to. I've got a plastic table that I'll set up outside the motorhome here, use that as a cooking surface. If I need to barbecue some stuff, burgers, steaks, hot dogs, whatever. And then my little Coleman stove, and both those use those little propane bottles, which I have a large assortment of inside the motorhome. And then just in case it gets cool up there, I can fire up this little Mr. Buddy heater inside the motorhome, probably just in the morning to take the chill off. I don't think it's going to be necessary. I think it's supposed to be up in the 80s this weekend. And then we've got a pop-up. My friend, he'll have probably a couple pop-ups. Another guy, he'll have a couple pop-ups. Probably be lots of pop-ups, but just in case, I'll have an extra one. And then camp chairs, one for my daughter and one for myself. So that's most everything we're going to need, I think. I need some tools, which I'll grab out of the green truck and put those in the motorhome. And pretty much the rest of the stuff is going to be UTV related, I think. It's been about an hour since I turned this on, and I never got the check light, which is this one, which I think lights up red. So we'll assume that it's working, and we can tell by reaching into the freezer, putting our hand in, putting it on this thing here, which is the freezer element, and yep, I can feel it starting to get cold. Not real quickly, but it is getting cold. So at this point, I'm going to go ahead and plug the coach in, and it'll go from gas to just back to auto. And that way we won't use any propane, and we'll go ahead and get the refrigerator cooled down. Yep, she went to auto when I plugged it in. That's good. I guess we could go ahead and check the hot water heater too, make sure it's working. We just need to turn on the switch there, and we'll just wait a while. You got to make sure your hot water heater has water in it, which after it's been drained all winter, it may not. But we ran water yesterday in the sinks, long enough to make sure that the hot water is running, so that means the tank is now full, so should be no problem. It's Thursday morning, and there's Bear. Hi, Bear. And we're still working, getting ready for the weekend camping trip. I do have something to show you, though. It's pretty cool. Look at that. Stovetop is all cleaned. The oven actually was pretty clean on the inside because it never gets used. So I cleaned that up, cleaned the sink area and around the sink. Yeah, okay, so maybe it wasn't as exciting to use as it was for me, but I'm pretty psyched about it. I had to take a quick break from motorhome prep because I almost forgot I needed to make a batch of chili. There it is, just starting 6-8 hours from now. It'll be good. That's to go camping this weekend. I think the next step is going to be to go gas up the motorhome. I was kind of hesitating to take the motorhome out because I need to swing by the hardware store and pick up a couple things, and I thought I might think of some other things I'll need. But I want to get this gassed up because the next big project is getting the trailer hooked up to it and making sure everything works. And so once I get the trailer hooked up, I'm not really going to want to take it out of here again until tomorrow when we leave. So that side panel there, the only reason it's open, I need to put tools in there. I'll go ahead and do that now, and then let's head to the gas station. Tools installed. Now, should the tools be on top of the leveling blocks? No, but I don't want them on the bottom of the leveling blocks either. So this will work. How about we check the air pressure in the tires? The rears are supposed to be at 60 psi and the front's at 65. You want to check out Redneck? I have an extension on the air valve in the back, and it's being held on with zip ties. Yeah, it works. The other one's got a little fancy metal clip. Zip ties work, at least until they don't. The inside dual was down to about 45 psi. That's quite a ways down from 60. And the outside dual was down to about 52. Everything's all aired up. All the tires were in pretty good shape. The worst one was that inside dual at about 45. But I don't think these things have been aired up since well, I know they haven't been aired up since last summer, probably August when we went to Blue Shaston RV Park. So that's not so bad. And the inside duals are the ones that have the extensions on them, and you know, that's just one more point source for a leak and everything. So I guess we need to either unhook the extension cord, or I'm going to need to get one a whole lot longer so we can get to the gas station. The last time this trailer was hooked up to this motorhome was probably 12 years ago. And it's kind of funny really, because this trailer was bought partly to haul ATVs around behind the motorhome. And we did it once. We hauled over to the Oregon coast and had a great spring break one time, and then it never happened again. And in fact, the motorhome has only had a trailer hooked up to it a couple of times since then. Most recently was 2 summers ago. So I expect the electrical is going to work on the trailer okay. But we need to get this thing set up to go. Which, what that means is we need our long extension on here. Then we need to run some wiring. Probably going to have to do something about flipping a trailer ball on a stinger. I don't know. Let's just go and see what happens. There's my extension and a pin. I bought this extension for this motorhome, and then lately I've been using it more with the white truck when I've got the camper on the back, which I did not do this winter. So anyway, let's get this installed. I had grabbed that pin on the left, but that's not the right diameter. That's actually for a smaller hitch, like a 1 1/4, 1 1/2, or whatever the other stinger size is. So I had to steal one off the green truck. Using the stinger that I usually use for this trailer, the one that was on the green truck, is going to put that way too low. But what if I flip that ball over and flip the stinger over? That'll raise it up. I think that's what I want to do. So it'll look like that. You know, honestly, I wouldn't mind raising up a little more, but I don't think I have another stinger that I can easily swap. As it turns out, I do have a stinger that's just a little bit taller, flipped upside down, and I've got extra balls, so if I take that 2-inch ball and put it on there, I won't even have to mess with the other stinger. Sweet! First things first, let's make sure that this fits. Make sure it's a 2-inch ball. 1.99 inches. That's pretty close. I could read the number. Oh, it even says 2 inches right on it. Perfect. All right, let's install it. As I've been thinking about this, you know, the instructions said to put this little ring on. I don't know why I need it, and in fact, by getting rid of it, it'll pull the whole jack up a little higher. So I'm going to do that right now. It's not a lot, but by pulling that ring, it gives me another 1/2 inch of clearance. Can't complain about that. There it is in the up position. It's certainly better than when it was behind the green truck the other day. Trailer is latched, safety chains installed, safety chains stretched clear back to the frame of the tow vehicle. Now we need to work on electrical. So here's what I'm working with. I've got this adapter here. That's what's on the motorhome. That's what the trailer needs, is a flat 4-wire. And I've got this homemade extension, which is, I don't know, about 3 feet long. And it actually has another wire coming off of it. This is for the pickup, so I can go from the truck to the camper and then back to a trailer with a 4-wire, which in the old days, my snowmobile trailer used to be a 4-wire, so that's what this is from. So let's get this wired up and see if we have any lights. I don't know if I'd call it pretty or not, but it should be functional. We're hooked into the motorhome. We're hooked into the little adapter wire. We're hooked into the trailer. Let's see if we have any lights. We have tail lights. That's a plus. Now, do we have turn signals? We have left turn signals, sort of. The one that's on the trailer there, that's blocked by the ramp, it's working, but the one that I installed last summer is not, but that's a problem we already knew we had. And we have right turn signal. But I did notice something curious. If I also have the tail lights on, the right turn signal is pretty weak. So we have a grounding issue. So we're gonna need to look at that. It's probably just all those wires put together. There's probably a bad ground connection. So I need to clean all those connectors. I don't know if this light is causing my entire problem, but the fact that it's not doing what it's supposed to, it is a problem, needs to be fixed. I suspect it has something to do with grounding. So we're gonna remove it. We've got a couple of nuts to remove on the back side there. That should allow it to flop. Then we can figure out where the ground is. This light is designed to ground through this stud here and ideally into the metal of the frame. That's not really a good design. A better way is to have a separate ground wire. Well, the trailer does have a ground wire that runs all the way through. So I put this connector on there and I had it grounded to there. I'm not sure it's getting a good enough connection. So what I've done is I've cut this. I'm going to crimp it a little bit to where it's not an easy slide-on fit, that it has to be forced on there. That'll make sure I have metal-to-metal contact. And then I'll bolt everything back in place. Improving that ground did absolutely nothing for the turn signal, but I've got a nice solid tail light. So that's good. So now I'm going to go ahead and pop that lens cover off and make sure there's nothing wrong with the bulb or anything going on inside there. I got the meter out, and here's what we've learned. Even though the bulb looks like it's okay, it doesn't seem to be working. If I put my meter on it and turn the turn signal on, I get a flashing of the meter. You can't read the voltage because it happens so quickly. And then if I try the other lead with the tail lights on, I get solid voltage. If you look down in there, the little pin on the left is for the tail lights, the one on the right is for the turn signals. So I will verify this by pulling the bulb out of the right hand side and slipping it in here. And in theory, this ought to be working just fine when I do that. One more point of interest, I was only getting about 8 volts on the left hand lead. So that tells me that I do have an issue with wiring coming back here, either bad ground, bad power, or something. So it just means that those connections probably need to be cleaned, and we'll see if we can improve that number. But first, let's get the other tail light and put it in here and see what happens. All right, I'm confused. See those numbers jumping around? That's the right turn signal, and I've got the meter on the leads, and it's jumping back and forth, so I'm assuming that I've got good voltage there. But as soon as I put the bulb that's from the other side, which I know is good, I put it in, I got nothing. Why would that be? I got to do some figuring here. Troubleshooting takes on many different forms. So I had a couple choices, and one of the choices was, let's try hooking the snowmobile trailer up to the motorhome, because we know the lights were working on the snowmobile trailer when it was hooked up to the white truck. So let's see if we can kind of narrow things down. So I did, and I really didn't have any better improvements on the tail lights and turn signals. What happens is the turn signals work just fine by themselves. As soon as you put the running lights on, the right turn signal really struggles. The left turn signal has some issues. So I crawled up underneath the motorhome and looked at where the wiring from the plug meets into with the wiring harness of the motorhome, and it's put in there with Scotch lock connectors, which are not a long-term solution, especially something that is exposed to weather, which they are. But worse than that was the ground. The ground was straight to the frame, completely rusted. So if I can only repair one thing, and that's what I'm looking to do right now, I'm going to go ahead and redo the ground on the frame of the motorhome and see if that improves anything at all. If that doesn't work, I think what I will do, and probably not for this trip because I'm not sure I have time, but I think I will put a regular RV plug on the motorhome, and ideally it'll be an RV plug that also has a 4-wire with it also. That's what I've got on my white truck. And that may be a future Procrastination Garage project. But for now, let me fix that ground. Now, that still doesn't solve my left rear turn signal problem on the trailer, and I'm not sure what the issue is there. Even though I have power there, I can't get the light to flash. I'm wondering if there's just something wrong with that housing, and maybe I need to swap that housing. I hate to do that because I can't, but I just can't figure out anything else to do at this point. But let's fix that ground first and just see what that does for us. I need to get a grinding wheel up underneath there. It's just a little itty bitty bolt, and there's no way it's going to come loose, so I'm just going to grind it off. There's where the wiring is connected. You can see the ground wire is that white wire that goes to the frame. Now what's interesting is that the wires coming out of the pigtail, this here, they're not your standard yellow, green, and brown wires, although they are hooking up to yellow, green, and brown wires. And I don't know why that is. I'd have to check the other wires. But it's interesting. But anyway, we're going to ground off the bolt right there, and then we're going to hook up a new ground. Ground off, and I grounded an area there so we'll have a good solid ground. Look at that, fresh ground. Is that going to solve any problems? I don't know. Let's check. Although I haven't solved my lighting problems, we need to move on to other things. Worst case, we'll drive it tomorrow with this one not working. We won't be using the headlights, so the taillights won't be on. We will have turn signals from here in the back and the one over on that side. And if I get motivated, maybe in the morning I'll work on it. But let's get the UTV loaded. I loaded it up with some firewood from my pile here. Got a couple straps over it to keep it from bouncing out. I checked the air in the tires, I checked the oil. We're ready to go. Let's get the thing loaded. I still need to take the top down so it doesn't get blown in the wind on the highway, but I'll do that once it's loaded. All loaded up and ready to go. Tomorrow morning we'll work on the left turn signal light, and then we got to run the grocery store and buy some last minute grub and stuff, and then we'll hit the road probably no later than 11 o'clock, so can't wait. It's 8:30 Friday morning, and the motorhome is pretty much loaded up with everything I need. I've got food, I've got clothes. I think I'm all set. I still need to make a trip to Walmart to pick up a couple things, but overall we're in pretty good shape there. But where did we leave off with the trailer? Well, I had the motorhome hooked up to the snowmobile trailer and was having the same problems. So that tells me that I've got an issue with the wiring on the motorhome. I did fix the ground on the motorhome, but that didn't really solve the problem. So last night I had to go buy some gas, fill some gas cans. Went to the parts store and I bought this. I bought a replacement taillight, and then I bought an RV plug. I think I have two separate issues. I think that the trailer light that I've got on the trailer for some reason isn't working like it's supposed to. I think swapping it will solve the problem. And then we have an issue on the motorhome, probably a grounding issue still, but not the ground that I fixed, probably at the other end where the wiring comes into the plug. So that's a separate issue. That's really only a problem if I've got my tail lights on. I will not be running in the dark on this trip, so I don't need to turn my headlights on. So I may take this with me and work on it when I'm up there camping, but I don't need to do it. So we need to focus on this morning. I keep going back and forth on whether to just totally remove this light and install the new one and hope for the best, or to wire in the new light and make sure it works before I swap them. The problem is the way the thing is grounded. I pretty much have to remove this light in order to get to the ground wire, which means if I'm that far along, I might as well just go ahead and replace the whole thing. Worst case, then I have an extra light that works and we've got a problem elsewhere, but I think that'll solve the problem. But I'm going to go ahead and go underneath, snip the two wires, the brown and the green, and then I'll unhook it, I'll unbolt it, and I'll be able to swap in the new light. Those two red butt connectors, those are the new ones, got the new light wired in. Let me tell you, the light manufacturer, boy, they didn't want to waste any extra wire. There was barely enough length for me to get through the frame and to where I could reach it. It may not be a problem always, but come on, let's put a little extra wire on there. I can always shorten it. You know, everything's built to a price point, I guess. Let's get the ground wire hooked up and see if this light works. There's the tail light. It's working just fine. Turn signal still doesn't work. Man, my troubleshooting skills really suck, I guess. You know, the funny thing is I'm sure that I have flashing power to that. I'll check this light too to make sure. All right, you guys will confirm I have a flashing light back here for left turn. So I'm going to put the meter on the bulb base here and see if I've got anything. Unfortunately, I can't easily hold the camera and test it. It's just not worth the effort to set up a tripod, so I'll just tell you if I've got power or not. All right, I lied. I'm able to do it. You see it flashing, so there is power there. It's coming and going, which, you know, it's flashing. It's a digital meter, so it's probably not going to be able to read the exact number. So that appears to be working. So why does it not work when there's a bulb in there? The fact that this is the exact same thing that happened with the other light fixture tells me it's not the light fixture. So from here we need to follow the wiring back to the to where I intercepted that left turn signal at the back. That's what I spliced into when I installed these lights. We kind of have a rat's nest of wiring back here. The two blue Scotch locks I just replaced. They're hooked into a couple pieces of red wire that are about, I don't know, 5 inches long. Those are extensions I need to extend up at the other end. And then I've got two red crimp connectors on those. So all my connections, they may not be long lasting, but they should be good for today. So let's go see if we have any lights now. The good news is we still have a tail light. Now cross your fingers that we have a turn signal. Look at there! We win! Finally! So really what it comes down to is one of the red Scotch lock connectors wasn't doing a thing. You know, they'll tell you not to use Scotch lock connectors. They're not the best answer. But you know what? A lot of trailers are assembled with Scotch lock connectors. So they work until they don't, I guess. Everything's back together. Everything's tucked up out of the way, zip tied. We're good to go. We're not going to worry about the RV plug, installing that. I thought about taking it up and installing it this weekend just for something to do. But it'll make good Procrastination Garage content here at home. So we'll save that, probably do it next week. So I need to get showered, head to Walmart, buy some last minute stuff, and then we're going to head to the mountains. It's Friday evening, just about 8 o'clock. We just finished dinner. We had hot dogs and chili, my chili, and feeling kind of full, so Dog and I decided to take a walk and just enjoy the mountain views. There's a thunderstorm going on over there that may or may not be headed our way. I don't know. We need to keep an eye on that. There's Dog. And then we're also picking up trash because that's what we do. We're camping in the same location we had our hamburger feed during snowmobile season. No snow now. If you look at the back end of that camper down there, that trailer, you can see my side-by-side just poking its head out. That's a wrap on this week's Procrastination Garage. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. It turned out getting ready for camping was a lot of work. I'd hoped to include some activities from the weekend, but this video got too long as it is. So that'll be in next week's video. Remember, the #1 goal of Procrastination Garage is to keep me motivated, to keep me from sitting around and watching YouTube and TikTok videos all day. Instead, to get me down in the shop, working on projects, out in the yard doing things, or up in the hills playing. Please hit the subscribe button. Please tell all your friends. Down in the comments, tell me about the projects you're working on, or better yet, the things you're procrastinating about. This is Procrastination Garage. My name is Matt, and we'll see you next week.